Hello folks, I'm John Myrie and welcome to the Wisconsin Northland Outdoors. On this week's show we have reports and some great tips from TJ Hansen down at Hayward Bait and Bottle, and then I talk fishing with pro angler and fishing guide Billy Rosner. Lots to cover on this week's show, all coming up right after these messages.
Save on Tracker boats at Hayward Power Sports. America's #1 selling aluminum fishing boat is Tracker, and the top selling pontoon is Sun Tracker. During the Great American Boat Sale event, claim up to $3,000 in instant savings and a free Bass Pro Shop gift card up to $1,000 with the purchase of a select new model Tracker boat. Plus, get the Tracker Promise, the best factory warranty, and Tracker's no hassle, no haggle value pricing coast to coast. See us today at Hayward Power Sports, just 10 minutes east of Hayward on Highway 77.
The Hayward Lakes Visitors and Convention Bureau in Sawyer County, Wisconsin welcomes you to our Northwoods hometown. No matter the season, no matter the activity, you'll always be surrounded by our great outdoors. What more could you ask for in a vacation destination? Woods, waters, world-class events. Contact us for information on lodging, dining, attractions, events, trail conditions, and more. Order your free vacation guide and start planning your getaway today. Visit us at haywardlakes.com or call 1-800-724-2992.
Riding along in my automobile.
Bumping into things unexpectedly? Make your first choice for collision repair. Ernie's Auto Body, featuring the most advanced collision repair facility in Northwest Wisconsin. With a state-of-the-art spray, bake down, draft paint booth for that better-than-new finish, laser technology for precision frame alignment, loaner cars available, computerized estimates, written guarantees, and documented unmatched customer service, the clear choice is Ernie's Auto Body, south of Hayward on Highway 63 and Nursery Road, where quality is no accident.
Lynn's Custom Meats and Catering welcomes you to stop by for their great lunch menu, and while you're there, Lynn's also has a great selection of custom-cut meats and sausages, as well as many varieties of snack sticks, jerky, fresh cheese curds, and much more. Lynn's is open Mondays through Fridays from 9 to 5:30 and 9 to 4 on Saturdays. Lynn's Custom Meats and Catering in Hayward.
Today, anglers fish longer. Today, anglers fish harder. Today, anglers rely more than ever on their electronics. It all comes down to catching more fish, and today, anglers rely on Amped Outdoors lithium batteries, period. Visit ampedoutdoors.com today to power your outdoor experience.
We're down in Hayward Bait and Bottle. I'm talking to TJ Hansen down here. And TJ, what are you seeing as far as down here at the shop at Hayward Bait, as far as the panfish action? You heard much there?
The panfish have been doing really well still. They're out a little deeper, 15-foot-ish weed edges. They're hugging pretty tight to the weeds. They're staying closer to the more in the weeds than like out roaming. So you'll find them out in the actual weeds.
I know on the flowage, I've heard reports they're starting to move out off them deeper bog chunks and stuff now, too.
Yes. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with the flowage. I have heard that they're starting to move out of into their, like, August phases, into that hot summer days.
You know, there's a million ways to fish with a panfish, too. I mean, a lot of people think live bait, and that works, but we've got so many, even down here at the shop, you've got so many different kinds of plastics. I like to use that 1-inch gulp minnow a lot of the time, but there's so many different plastics. It's hard to make a choice of what to try.
Right, 100%. A lot of people are using those gulps. Those gulps are phenomenal. The 1-inch minnows are always a good option. There's some crickets and some waxworms. Those are another good option. We've seen a lot of those go out the door.
Little hot trick for me is that if you're starting to keep constantly getting them little fish and you can see some bigger fish or know some bigger below it, go to the 2.5-inch gulp. You can get through them little guys.
Yeah, 100%. Anytime that you're catching a lot of little ones, just upping the size of your bait or upping the weight of the jig head that you're using. Those are two really good ways to find some bigger fish.
You know, usually when we get this time of year, people start trolling. I'm seeing some people trolling for walleyes on the lakes, pulling crawler harnesses and crankbaits, and that's one of the most effective ways this time of the year, I think.
That's one of the only ways this time of year, unfortunately. A lot of people are trolling the crawler harnesses or the Kalen's worm walkers. They're on that about half a crawler or a baby crawler bite. They're a little bit timid to eat the full crawler still, but if you use a half a crawler or the smaller crawlers, those are phenomenal.
You know, there's so much food out there this time of year, a lot of insect hatch and minnows and stuff, and they've got so much to eat. And, you know, I think personally that when you're catching them trolling, you're catching more of a responsive strike. It comes by their face, they snap at it, whereas they're actually not out there hunting for food because they've ate a bunch of stuff.
That's 100% correct. You're looking more for reaction bites than anything else. There's a plethora of different baby perch out there, crappie, the bluegill, everything's in their baby phases right now. So everything's just getting eaten. So the fish aren't very hungry. And if you're trying to cast for them, you basically got to shake it in their face long enough to get them to react to it.
We talked about this a little bit last week, too, is that some of the easiest fishing out there will be for largemouth bass and for the northern pike.
100%. Those largemouth bass are on those weed flats. I've been finding that swim jigs on the smaller size and still just keeping that heavier weight. So I've been using the tungsten ones. And then you just rip those off the bottom and then let it flutter back down. And then you're triggering a lot of reaction bites. A lot of people are also throwing wacky rigs for them. Those are both phenomenal ways to catch a bunch of largemouth bass. Northern pike are liking the spinnerbaits right now. Spinnerbaits and chatterbaits. Just kind of slow rolling them above the weeds and around the weeds. Those are doing really well for the northern.
And I know I'll reiterate that wacky rigged worms, and anyway, even a Texas rigged worm, the plastic worms are phenomenal what they catch, the Cinco worms. And I like them if they got a salt content in them. It seems to be better. And you can apply a little scent on them if you want, like Procure or something.
Correct. Yeah, 100%. Those worms just always work. It doesn't matter if you have a weight on there, no weight, Texas rig, Nico rig, wacky rig. There's 120 ways to rig them. You just got to throw, as long as you're throwing that worm out there, some will eat it.
Yeah, it's amazing. They're so effective sometimes. I think back when they first started making them, somebody tried to outlaw them in tournaments or something, but they caught fish forever.
Yeah, I haven't heard that they were trying to outlaw, but that would make sense. They catch a lot of fish. The original one, the Gary Yamamoto one, was actually made in a pen blank.
Well, anyway, they work, and how about muskies? I mean, right now with these hotter temperatures, a lot of people aren't muskie fishing, and unless you're fishing at night for them or real early in the morning, it's pretty hard on the fish catching them or release them in the high water temperature.
Yeah, for sure. Basically, it's a no-go during the day and during the mornings and afternoons. Nighttime, you can still catch them, but yeah, with how warm the water temps are, it's definitely not the best thing for them.
If you can get that water temperature back down in the middle 70s, okay. And even then, in the summertime, don't overhandle fish. I mean, don't bring it in the boat if you don't have to. Release to the side of the water and side of the boat and that stuff.
Yeah, definitely. You take your pictures in the water. Even if you have to get in the water, hold it out of the water a little bit. That's fine. Just try to keep them out of the boat. Keep them in the water. Keep them wet. Keep them a little colder.
One fish we didn't talk about was smallmouth. I mean, let's talk about that real quick, because smallmouth fishing in the summertime can be pretty good too, but usually you got a little deeper.
100% deeper. A lot of the big ones, if you're looking for big smallmouth, they're going to be out roaming. You'll find them on the thermoclines. You'll find them out deep randomly with the schools of bait fish. Wherever you can find some cooler water. So a lot of times as the wind blows them around, those bait fish will get moved around, and then those bigger smallmouth will be out sometimes even 60 feet of water suspended in about 20 above that thermocline, and they'll just be big. That's where the big smallmouth will be.
With the exception of rivers and flowages, and they stay shallow in those lakes for whatever reason, even the flowage lakes.
Yeah, that's because of the current. That current will move a lot colder water into them, and then they don't got to worry about the deeper side of it as much.
Yeah, down here at the shop, I mean, you're down here, working down here, they got just about anything and everything that you might need for fishing down here, I think, including a lot of these plastics we're talking about, too.
Yeah, we got all the plastics. We're looking at a new shipment coming this week, so we'll be fully stocked. We got everything. We got some advice if you need it. Everything from soft plastic swim baits to those worms we were talking about, all the way down to the smallest plastics.
And all the rigging stuff for them, the hooks and the rigging stuff.
100%. We got everything.
Well, yeah, and you guys got a good source of information. If people come in, they want maybe some tips on the lake or where to go or something, you can supply that too. And you got a full line of lake maps here too.
We do. We got all of the major lakes around here and a few of the smaller ones as well. And then a lot of information. A lot of people come in here, let us know what's going on, so we stay stocked with information.
Well, TJ, I want to thank you greatly for taking the time. We got a lot of good information there.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me on the show. Stay hydrated.
Well, folks, we need to take a break right now and hear from some of the fine sponsors that make this show possible every week. When we come back, we'll be talking to pro angler and fishing guide Billy Rosner. So stay tuned. We'll be back right after these messages. Hayward Bait and Bottle is your one-stop for the Hayward area's largest selection of rods, reels, lures, fishing electronics, boating supplies, and they've now expanded their selection of soft plastic bass and walleye baits. No matter what you're fishing for, at Hayward Bait and Bottle you'll find everything you'll need for a successful season, and while you're there, in their bottle shop you'll find a full selection of beer, wine, and liquor too. And also don't forget, now they carry Shoremaster docks, lifts, and accessories at Hayward Bait and Bottle. There's no time like the present to explore Hayward, Wisconsin, one of the Midwest's most popular vacation destinations. With crystal clear lakes for water sports and fishing, miles of trails for riding snowmobiles, ATVs, cross-country skiing, hiking, and mountain biking, this area is buzzing with activity year-round. Combined with charming local shops and a variety of Northwoods dining options, Hayward is certain to offer both adventure and relaxation for everyone. Plan your trip today and find everything you need on the Hayward Area Chamber of Commerce website. From events and attractions to local dining, shopping, and lodging, visit haywardareachamber.com and start your next adventure now.
Have some UTV fun in the sun with savings up to $4,000 or financing as low as 0% at Hayward Power Sports. The Polaris All-Out Summer Sales Event is the perfect time to take yours home. Offers vary by model, but a prime example is the 2026 Polaris Ranger XP1000 Northstar with a $3,000 rebate or 1.99% financing for 36 months. This machine is the top of the line with a factory-installed cab system including a tip-out windshield and power front windows. Plus, control your comfort with factory-installed heat and AC. Yes, AC. Choose a machine to fit your needs and the offer that fits your pocketbook. Polaris RZR is a machine for adrenaline junkies to push the limits. Polaris Ranger is the ultimate workhorse for the toughest jobs. And Polaris General is the best of both worlds, built with task-to-trail versatility, ready to work or play. Plus, Hayward Power Sports has a machine that started it all, the legendary Polaris Sportsman ATV. Have fun in the sun with your new Polaris today at Hayward Power Sports, just 10 minutes east of Hayward on Highway 77.
See dealer for complete program details. Always wear a helmet, never drink and ride.
In the Northwoods, a lake property is more than just a cabin. It's where memories are made. If you're buying lakefront property, you want someone who understands what makes each lake special. And if you're selling, your property deserves more than just a sign in the yard. It deserves its story told. I'm Megz Steinmetz with Real Estate by Megz, a national 30 under 30 realtor, lifelong angler, and a Northwoods lake specialist. Because no two lakes are the same, and neither are the properties. Find me online or on social media, Real Estate by Megz. That's Megz with a Z.
Welcome back to another segment of this week's Wisconsin Northland Outdoors, and this part of the show is brought to you by the Hayward Lakes Visitor and Convention Bureau. For more information on lodging and vacationing here in the Hayward Lakes area, check out their website at haywardlakes.com. Well, folks, you know, one of my guide friends out there is Billy Rosner, who's guide up in northern Minnesota as well as up in the Minong in the Hayward area. Had a chance to spend a day on the water with Billy doing some scouting for an upcoming guide trip we have. Well, Billy, you know, we just came off the lake. You and I were out there doing a little pre-scouting for an upcoming couple of days guiding we got with some of your customers. And, you know, we had a lot of fun out there. We caught a lot of fish.
No, we did. The bass bite was good. You know, it's that time of year. We're almost pushing August here, and there's nothing wrong with chasing bass. I mean, walleyes are great, but they're a different creature right now. You got to pretty much get it after them early in the morning or later in the evening. But the bass, they're cooperative during the day, and yeah, it was fun. We got on a nice little weed line, and no, we did good. Wacky worms, and
well, you know, that's the thing too. Is a lot of people are up here on vacation in the summertime, and you know, if you want to really go after walleyes, you concentrate during them evening hours, them golden hours, and find yourself a good spot, and hope you catch some walleyes. But you want to catch fish. The game is panfish. You know, if you're not a musky fisherman, for instance, which right now the water temperature's been too hot, but, you know, the game is going after panfish and going after bass and smallmouth bass and largemouth, especially largemouth. They're really cooperative.
No, they are. And then in between, you pick up a few pike, and, you know, if you want to keep a few fish to eat, there's nothing wrong with the pike. I mean, they're good eating fish.
Oh, yeah, you know, and that's we got a very liberal bag limits on several lakes up here. I mean, it's a 10 bag limit on a bunch of different lakes, and pike are really good eating. But, you know, when people are going out there, you know, what's a big mistake you see people make if they're going out there in the summertime trying to catch fish or catch bass, for instance?
Well, you know, it's to you and I, it's simple. You know, you got to find some kind of structure, and you know, this time of year, your weed lines are, whether they go out 10, 12 feet or 18 feet, you cannot beat a deep weed edge, you know, with the turns and nooks and crannies in them. Fishing a wacky worm, you go a little deeper, you can put a little screw and weight in them. And I mean, that's the biggest tip I could tell people, you know, fish those deeper weed lines, weight a wacky worm. maybe adjust your color of the worm to the clarity of the water, and you're going to catch bass.
Well, yeah, and the big thing is a lot of people go out and they'll fish. There are bass in these big weed flats, and you got 40 acres or 20 acres of weed flats, but, only 10% of that water is going to be holding the fish. And there's a lot of hayfield out there to be trying to drag through to find it, But edges are the big thing. I don't care what you're fishing for. Fish are edge related. They like to be on the edge of something, whether it's cover of like weeds or wood or rocks.
Right.
But yeah, they want to be something like that.
No, you do. You got to just think those transitions, and you're going to get bit by some species that's out there. I mean, that's where they live. That's where it's happening.
Even walleyes, if you get later in the fall here, walleyes, you've got better electronics, and most of the electronics today will show you that. You look your side imaging one. You can do it with the old flasher, for instance, but side imaging is probably the easiest one to find that transition, that edge between soft bottom and hard bottom. You'll come off the edge of a weed line, and you'll have a pretty hard bottom signal on your locator, but then it kind of flattens out, and it kind of goes kind of dull. That's your softer bottom. Those fish use that edge.
Right. Yep. It's just, it's the fish highway right there. It's simple as that. And you could get by with your 2D too. I mean, that'll, watch that for your transition changes. And then, your lake maps too are going to just tell you a lot of information.
You've been guiding for like 40 years. I've been guiding 46 years, and we've seen that whole transition in electronics. We started out with basically nothing and used flashers and basically all that stuff. Well, you can learn. The biggest thing is don't rely on your electronics totally. You want to have some basic knowledge to start with. Start looking for, like we said, those edges and those transitions and stuff. And you can find that on lake maps. On the lake maps nowadays, a lot of them, especially the Lake Master stuff or the good Navionics stuff, it shows you those contours. And you can actually sit there and study a map and find these points and these turns and these differences, and then find an edge on them to go look for fish.
Right. No, exactly. And then also, you can, a little old school too, have a good pair of sunglasses. It's a calmer day. You can visually see those edges. You can look at the shoreline. You can see, there's rocks here, a little steeper bank, that transitions out into the water. So, you can put those little pieces together too into your plan.
We kind of learned the hard way just going without a lot of that equipment. Nowadays, the information sources out there for people to learn. There's so many good videos on how to do this stuff and how to find stuff. And, a lot of the old school guys, the old guard, I guess Al Linder calls them the old guard. We're not going to be around that much longer. Hopefully we will be, but, the new guys coming out there, they've got it a little easier to find that stuff and learn that information.
Oh, man, they got it a lot easier, John. And, they grew up in that generation where, they grew up with that stuff at school and stuff. And, they got it pretty easy nowadays. But you still got to make the fish bite, the right presentations. And, there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle. You can have a boat full of the best electronics in the world. And you got to learn how to use all that stuff and put the whole puzzle together.
Yeah, you bet. And I think way too many people think they take the easy way out on stuff. And there is no easy way if you want to get good at anything. And that's not just fishing. It's anything else. You got to put the time in and do some homework and some studying, and it's just pretty simple. And, if you really get questions, guides, that's what guides do. Most of the guides, they teach people. Anymore, it used to be they didn't. They took people out fishing, caught their limit of fish, went back and cleaned their fish, and the people had no idea where they were at. But nowadays, people are out there, they got their phones, they can GPS spots, and they learn a lot from a good guide.
Yeah, and it's so much different guiding is nowadays. It's not all about catching limits of fish and keeping limits of fish to eat. I mean, yeah, we keep some fish for, if people want to keep them to eat, but, it's really not about that anymore. It's the whole experience, your day on the water, few fish if you want to keep them to eat, release the rest, let them be caught another day.
I got a favorite saying at the end of the day guiding. I said, well, did you learn anything out there? And they said, yeah, we learned a bunch of stuff. And I said, good, because if you didn't learn anything, it probably wasn't worth what you got to pay me.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly right.
You could have bought a lot of fish in the fish market for that.
Right.
There's so much going on. I mean, we got conservation is a big issue nowadays too. It looks like DNRs are running out of money for stocking and stuff. So it comes down to the other thing people need to concentrate on is when you catch fish, handling this fish properly. And if you're going to release the fish, and be selective in what you catch or what you keep. Don't keep the biggest fish, because those are the oldest fish and they took a lot of years to get there. For instance, a crappie, a 15-inch crappie is 15 years old. I mean, why take that fish? I mean, you go to a farmer and you're going after some beef. You don't want the oldest bull or oldest cow. You want the young, nice, tender one. And basically, younger, smaller fish are actually better eating.
Yeah, they're a lot better eating, than those bigger fish. You got to deal with that big muddy vein, line down them, cut that out. And they're not good eating. Keep those smaller fish. They're great for the pan.
Well, folks, we need to take yet another break and hear from even more of the fine sponsors that make this show possible every week. When we come back, we'll have the second part of that talk I had with fishing guide Billy Rosner. So stay tuned. We'll be back right after these messages. Hey folks, come on over to Hayward Ace Hardware and check out the area's largest selection of firearms, ammo, and accessories. We carry top brands like Browning and Sig Sauer, and we have a great selection of the newest and hard-to-find models. We've got a large selection of ammo with more coming in daily. If you need a scope, we carry great brands like Leupold, Hawk, and EOTech, and we'll even mount it and bore-sight it for you too. We even sell suppressors and silencers. And don't forget to check out our Guns of the Week. Huge discounts on a variety of pistols, rifles, and shotguns that change every week. So stop on in to Hayward Ace Hardware, your firearms superstore. Hayward Ace Hardware, Highway 63 North in Hayward, or give us a call at 715-634-8700.
Hayward Animal Hospital is a full-service medical and surgical hospital featuring on-site laboratory, digital and dental x-ray, in-house pharmacy, and online store. Dr. Ostrander has 40 years of experience dealing with illnesses, injuries, surgery, and dentistry. Hayward Animal Hospital offers urgent care appointments and emergency surgery daily. Please call early in the day for these appointments. They open at 8 a.m. Hayward Animal Hospital is located 1 mile east of Hayward on Highway B. Call 715-634-8971.
Big fish stories come to life at the Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame. The world's largest shrine to freshwater anglers boasts a 4.5-story tall walk-through muskie that's a half a city block long. It's like taking a peek into Granddad's old tackle box with thousands of mounted fish, antique outboard motors, and historical sport fishing artifacts. Stop in and take a chance on our 50-50 cash raffle. You could walk away with a pile of cash. See the big ones that didn't get away at the Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame, Highways 27 and B in Hayward. Open daily, including Sundays, through October 31st at 9:30 a.m. Welcome back to the last segment of this week's Wisconsin Northland Outdoors. And folks, we're going to jump right back into the second part of that talk I had with fishing guide Billy Rosner. I know you've said before on the radio show, you've been a guide all your life. You come up, you're a fourth generation guide in your family?
Yep, fourth generation.
Yeah, where did you start at?
Northern Wisconsin, at Phelps, Conover, Wisconsin, Land O'Lakes, Eagle River, in that area.
Yeah, and then you wound up going over, you guide over on the Vermilion River and over that way?
Met my bride and actually on a guide trip, ended up dating long distance in Minnesota, ended up on Lake Vermilion by Vermilion Dam Lodge. Ed, a good friend of mine, I used to guide him over in northern Wisconsin, that Eagle River area for muskie, and it was this coincidence, and it just took off from there, 26 years up there.
And now you move back over here by Minong, and you guide here too, as well as guiding up there in times.
Yeah, I guide down here, when I can, still most of my business is up there, but I love bass fishing, and we got some really good bass fishing in this, Minong, Hayward area. I mean, it's as good bass fishing as anywhere. And so I do bass trips down here in July and August and early September.
Well, in reality, a lot of these lakes were bass lakes that were stocked with walleyes to create a walleye fishery. And maybe they're reverting back to the bass again with all the pressure on them and maybe less stocking and stuff. Who knows there? But they originally were bass lakes. That says something. They can grow bass better than anything else or muskies.
Right. Nope. And the muskie fishing, right. And then I guide for muskies too over in that Minong Webb Lake area. I mean, there's some sleeper lakes over there. It's pretty decent fishing.
Well, fishing pressure makes a big difference too. I mean, that's one thing nowadays we have since the COVID. There's a lot more people on the water, it seems like, whether they're recreating or they're fishing. And even boat traffic on the lake can affect the fishing. And just a lot of boat traffic, skiing and stuff can affect the fishing too.
Oh, yeah, all that commotion. I mean, you hear it all the time, ice fishing, You get too many vehicles driving out on the ice, So think, open water, you got all these boats running around, jet skis, it's a lot of commotion and noise down there for those fish.
Fish are getting smarter. I've had friends of mine tell me they've watched crappie schools and stuff in the wintertime when a snowmobile or a vehicle drives by within 100 feet or so, and they just take off. I've watched fish, crappies. I got the live scope sonar, which I can watch, kind of learn how the fish react to stuff. And I've watched them lots of times where you even get within 50 feet of a school of suspended panfish. They just collapse into a ball and head straight for the bottom. They know the boat's there.
Right. I've done stuff up on Lake Vermilion, media stuff with different people, and same thing, you make a few casts, bomb the bobbers out there, and you'll catch one or two, and then pretty soon they just scatter, so you just chase them around, find a couple more, do the same thing, and yeah, they're a little wiser than you think.
Yeah, and I think there's a difference between dark water and clear water. I know up there you're dealing with some darker water, right?
Yeah, Vermilion's, I wouldn't say it's clear, but it's it's not really dark water. It's clearer than you think.
Oh, yeah. And down here we've got a mix of everything from really dark water to clear water. And, it makes a difference in the bite, too, in the water, because you'll find, I think you find a shallower bite during the day a little easier in darker water sometimes than you do in clear water.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, and as far as, some tips out there fishing, people, I know you do a lot of walleye fishing. What can you tell people as far as some tips on being better at walleye fishing?
Well, boat control. I see that the biggest mistake, like up on Vermilion. I do a lot of live bait rigging still up there, pulling, Lindy rig type stuff, and you got to go slow, 0.3, 0.7. Sometimes if I'm marking fish and I can't get them going faster, I'll slow down to a crawl or just stop and let the baits hang there and get a reaction of them out of that way. But then I'll see other people come through the same area and they're just moving too fast, they're not catching anything. I'm catching fish because I'm slow, But then on some days, you got to change it up. The live bait stuff might not be working, so you pull out the jigging wraps. Start getting a little more aggressive with them, and you're popping fish, or like the hair jigs. That's a good bait too when they're really aggressive.
I think there's two ways to catch fish. One, you catch them when they're actually eating something, and the other one when you aggravate them to strike at something. And I always use the analogy, like if you're sitting out in the lawn chair and you got a big old horsefly flying around 10 feet away and you're watching him, you don't bother him. But if he starts flying around in your face, you're going to take a swat at him, and fish do the same thing, I think.
Oh, right on. I agree with that. Yep. I think I say that all the time guiding, there's fish here. I go, we'll just keep pulling through here. We're going to aggravate one here sooner or later.
Well, it's not just a matter of being on fish. It's being able the skills to catch fish. And there is a learning curve there to be able to feel the bite and know what you're doing and just casting everything. It's all important.
No, it is. Like I said, there's a lot of different ways to catch every species of fish and different applications. And I mean, it's, even us as guides, it's impossible to maybe excel at all of them, but you excel at a couple methods and you're going to catch a lot of fish. And that's my best advice to people. If you're fishing bass this time of year, you can use a spinner bait but really get good at a Ned rig or a wacky worm deal, and you're just going to catch a lot of fish.
Yeah, the wacky worm is probably that. Or second would probably be like a Ned rig, or
Ned
just
rig.
A Texas rigged unweighted worm. And, that's the simplest way. But the problem is most people fish them way too fast.
Right. I mean, today even, we were talking and stuff. I mean, heck, that one fish I caught today, I think my worm was laying on the bottom for 2 minutes, and all of a sudden, like, hey, there's a fish there.
Yeah, you can't hardly fish slow enough, it seems like. Well, Billy, I know you got the guide stuff. You want to give out some information if somebody's looking for you to guide up here around the Hayward area, or if you're over there toward Vermilion?
Sure, you can check out my website, wildcountryguideservice.com, or call me or text me, 218-403-0128.
Well, thank you, Billy, a lot for being on here, and we need to get back out and do some more fishing here.
Yep, sounds good, John. Thanks for having me on.
Well, folks, we're about out of time for this week's show. I'd like to remind everyone out there that if you miss a show, you can always go to our website at wnoradio.com, and from there you can link through to our podcast. You can also find the show on Spotify and all major podcast channels. And also, if you're looking for information on vacationing and lodging here in the Hayward Lakes area, check out the Hayward Lakes Visitor and Convention Bureau website at haywardlakes.com or the Hayward Area Chamber site at haywardareachamber.com. And lastly, if you'd like more information on hiring a fishing guide when you're up here in the Hayward area, check out our website at wnoradio.com. We've got links to just about all the different guides and a lot of information in there on guides. We're out of time for this week's show, and we'll be back again next week with another interesting show for you. Thanks for listening.
Way up in the Northland where the recreation's great. So sit back, relax, kick off your shoes, sink in your easy chair. Come on along, listen with me, I'm gonna take you there to our Wisconsin outdoors, our Wisconsin outdoors.
This program has been produced and hosted entirely by Wisconsin Northland Outdoor Communications.